A very good morning to one and all. I will be speaking on OCT features in vitreoretinal interface disorders, findings and response to treatment. Most of the time, the PVD is an innocuous event, but in some cases there could be anomalous PVD, and this can cause a horseshoe tear, retinal detachment, vitreous hemorrhage. It can lead to vitreomacular traction. It can cause, you have to see that the patient, definitely whatever symptoms are there are because of the retinal changes. So you have to be sure that the patient does not have amblyopia, or you should be able to correlate the symptoms and the findings to the retinal changes. Then only you should give the option of surgery to the patient. So this is a case of idiopathic ERM. Idiopathic ERM is that there is no underlying ocular pathology. This patient is a 65-year-old male. He complained of distortion since 5 to 6 months, and the left eye was okay. And here the patient was given the option of surgery. Here we are using the intraoperative handheld OCT that is known as bioptigen. It's not a true intraoperative OCT, it's a perioperative. So basically you do a step and then you can image it intraoperatively. So this is the preoperative. You can see there's a ERM here, hyperreflective structure. Cystoid edema is there. The corresponding angiogram also shows leakage. So this patient underwent surgery. This is the intraoperative. So what I was talking about, immediately after the ERM removal, imaging was done. So you can see the undulations have increased. And this is 3 weeks post OCT, good anatomical improvement. And the patient was happy. There was no distortion. This is a case of secondary ERM. A 5-year-old child who had Coats disease underwent multiple sessions of laser and cryo, developed a secondary ERM and underwent surgery. So secondary is post, it could be post-trauma, post-detachment surgery, post-cryo, post-laser. In such cases, you have to be careful because sometimes the patients, because of the underlying ocular problem, they may not improve to a very good extent. So this is just a small clip. So basically the brilliant blue has stained the ERM to a good extent. Otherwise, you can sort of double stain also. You can use Orocort to stain the ERM and then again stain with brilliant blue to stain the ILM. There are 2 ways. You can either just remove the ERM or you can do a combined ILM peeling along with the ERM. So now we'll go to the macular hole. So this is the stage 0, that is no abnormality of foveal contour. There is just oblique insertion of the posterior hyaloid at the fovea. And when you call stage 1A, that is there's a lost foveal contour, inner retinal layers are involved, you can see here. And the stage 1B is this enlarges and it extends to the outer retina, but still the roof is intact. So these are known as impending macular holes, and there's a 40% chance of progression to stage 2. Stage 2 is full thickness defect, less than 400 microns. PVD is not present, complete PVD is not present. Stage 3, thickness more than 400 microns, perifoveal cystic changes, still persistent attachment of the hyaloid. And stage 4 is full thickness defect with complete PVD. So this is a case of macular hole, 618 vision. The patient underwent surgery with good improvement. So most of the macular holes do well. You could get easily around 90% anatomical success rate with the current systems. And this is also very important. We are recently, or it's being diagnosed very frequently because of the availability of SD-OCT. If you don't do OCT, there are chances that you will miss this entity. So this is myopic foveoschisis. You can see the retinoschisis. There are 3 types when there's a foveal detachment and macular hole type. And the causes are tangential traction could be due to ERM, ILM and retinal vessels. This you can see it could be a taut ILM or it could be ERM also. And then axial traction because of posterior vitreous cortex, axial length elongation, and there's a weak adhesion between neurosensory retina and RP. And there is a disparity in the length of sclera and retina. All these things can cause myopic foveoschisis. This is a case of myopic foveoschisis, 636 vision, and the patient underwent vitrectomy with good improvement. Sometimes it may take a couple of months for it to improve. And the most important thing is in doing vitrectomy is that you do a very good hyaloid separation, because there could be vitroschisis, so multiple staining may be required, and complete vitrectomy with hyaloid separation is very important. Fortune to work on the microscope integrated SDOCT, that is the rescan by the ZEISS. So here you can see the hyaloid is attached at the disc. So it's an intraoperative tool. So while doing surgery, you can image the retina. So you can be sure that you have released all the traction. And this is after the FG. And this is a case of myopic foveoschisis. So this could be the way that future surgeries could be done, because it really changes the whole game. And after the injection of the Orocort, you can see the hyperreflective crystals on the surface. And this is the ILM peeling. You can really see that. The problem with this technology is that shadowing, because all our instruments are metallic. So wherever you're trying to hold the retina, you get a shadow. But people are working on that. We could have instruments that don't cast a shadow. And the vitreous plays a role in DME also. It can cause abnormal glycation and cross-linking of vitreal collagen, and this can lead to traction on the macula. The vasopermeability agents can sort of remain at the macular area and cause problem. It can cause cellular migration, contraction, macular traction, and we have seen many times that spontaneous PVD and vitrectomy improves the macular edema. And you have to be careful in finding out whether the patient has VMA, VMT and ERM, because such patients may not respond to the usual laser and the anti-VEGF agents. So sometimes such cases you may have to do vitrectomy. And this is a case of PDR with vitroschisis. We can see there is a vitromacular traction here, and the patient underwent surgery with improvement. But vitreous surgery has complications. So the ideal way could be to have a agent that can be injected into the eye, and it causes innocuous separation of the hyaloid. And this is possible. So this is possible with the Jetria, that is ocriplasmine. It's a truncated form of human plasmine for the treatment of symptomatic vitromacular adhesion. And this was the study. Around 652 patients with VMA, that is symptomatic vitromacular adhesion, were treated with this, and by day 28, the resolution of VMT was seen in 8 patients, that is 26.5% versus 10.1 receiving placebo. And the non-surgical closure of macular hole was seen in 40.6% of the cases. And the positive predictors are younger the patient is better, and there should be no ERM at baseline, and the traction has to be focal. You can divide it whether less than 1500 or more than that, so that also plays a part. And phakic lens status, these patients showed good response. So to conclude, new imaging capabilities are helping us to diagnose VIP problems, and we now have better understanding of the role of vitreous in various retinal diseases, and vitreous surgery is fruitful in carefully selected cases. In such cases, and pharmacologic vitriolysis could usher a new chapter in patient management. Thanks for a patient hearing.